Hi, what's up? How are you? Welcome to We'll Need More Tea with Jasmine, a beautiful and dynamic platform where we celebrate the voices and experiences of young people, experiences of young people. And in this platform, we like to have conversations and to talk with an aim to empower this and the next generation through thought-provoking conversations. So welcome. We've had a couple of episodes. I hope you've enjoyed them, you've loved them. Let me know what you think about them. So we have a guest today again, and it's a repeat guest, or he's a repeat guest. I just called you it. He's a repeat guest, a good friend of mine. His name is Musau. He's been here before. We talked about purpose and we had a really very good conversation. And today we get to have another session together where we are talking about identity. I know we've talked about identity before. I did an episode on identity, but we get to have some more of that juice today. Hi, Musau.
Some more of that tea.
Oh, yeah. Very nice.
Unless you want to switch the title to Joe.
No, it's tea. It's tea.
Anyway, it's a pleasure to be here.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of interesting conversations.
I know you are.
Yeah.
That's why you're here.
I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Karibu.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I've been good.
Mm-hmm. How's your week been?
My weeks have been amazing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
That's brief but fun. Okay. I guess you're gonna just go get right into it.
Sure.
You look good in black, by the way.
Thank you.
Is it your color?
I am a black man. I'm sure God thought the exact same thing. He looks good in black.
When he made you black.
Yeah. Do you ever ask yourself if God tried different templates? Like how you use filters?
No.
Like how you use filters? Have you ever wondered if like when he was creating, like he would try like a white filter and be like, no. Like a black filter, I'm like, wow.
That looks good.
Or like he just knew what color you're supposed to be.
I think he knew what he was doing. He just decided, oh, you watch out to people come, you know?
That's
if you are not black, what do you want to be? I know, it's very dumb. Sometimes you're brilliant, but sometimes you're so dumb.
It's a thin line, by the way. It's a thin line.
If you are president for a day, what would you do different? Or rather, what would you do?
For me or like for people?
What's the first thing you do if you are president for a day?
A day?
Mm-hmm.
I just travel countries.
A day? In a day?
I don't know, what can I do in a day? I don't know, I just chill. What can I do? Like I'm supposed to make policies and stuff like that.
Are you thinking too far ahead?
Then what is the significance of if I was president then?
If you are president for a day, you just chill.
For me, a more fun question would be, I don't know, like if I had, I don't know how to make it more dynamic.
It's my question.
Okay.
Answer it.
If I was president for a day,
yeah,
I would do president stuff.
What is what is president stuff?
I do whatever presidents do. But I don't know, that day I guess I have an itinerary. I'll follow it. I am incapable of answering that question the way you expect me to.
I know, without thinking. I think you need time to think
I
about it.
am incapable, yes, because I feel like I have to approach that question from something significant in one way or another, right? Yeah.
You don't have to be
otherwise, why president? Why not just like, I don't know.
You're just overthinking.
Okay.
But that's you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about identity.
You know, it's fitting because you're trying to
make me a
president.
How do you define identity?
How do I, or how is, I don't know, how do the dictionary or something describe identity?
How should it be defined? What do you think identity is all about?
I don't know. Identity is knowledge on oneself. Is to be, I don't know, informed in who you are.
How do you define your identity as Dennis?
I would say I'm very intrinsic and inquisitive in terms of
Who you are.
I live inside of me, and I'm always shooting questions inside of me, like why, where, how, why, where, you know. And I'm always excited to explore those questions within me and answer them, right? So my identity is defined in curious expression of self, but then also maybe competent and skillful expression of self in different dynamics, right? So for me, I define identity as how I know myself, right? How I know myself, and I don't know where that is supposed to lead me, you know, something like that.
Okay.
I feel like when you talk about purpose and identity, sometimes there are such abstract concepts that to differentiate them is like such a thin line sometimes. It's like a light blue and like a different kind of blue that's just close enough, but for some reason they have different names, right?
They do.
Yeah. So they are closely knit together. Yeah. But I feel like identity is attached to awareness, knowledge, information. Yeah, that's like some literature, something like that. That is what I don't know. That consciousness follows the term identity.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I think it's also okay to say that identity sort of pours into purpose.
Not sort of.
It does. Yeah.
It's the gene. It's the it's the blueprint. Yeah.
To purpose. So it's about you knowing who you are and what you're about. And as self. Yeah, actually, what you're saying about identity and purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like let me use this example. You know how I remember in like yesteryears when we didn't have jobs and we were just trying to find anything, trying to plug in anywhere, so that you can get started, right? And I remember in those times, like someone would ask you, "What are you looking for? You know, what do you want to do? What can you do?" And that
did you ever say anything?
My answer is this, that question was always so big for me. Yeah. And honestly, I would genuinely say anything because, I've not had any experiences of anything. Yeah. So I don't know which areas, I am probably strong in. Let's say you don't have the fullness of, realization at that time. As many people are in whatever different stages and needs of their life, there's a point where you're not sure which direction you want to lean towards. So and in those days, and you just be asked that question, and I just be like, genuinely anything.
Whatever you bring.
I'm like genuinely anything, right?
I do.
Yeah, and then for me, my life is like an experience of what the answers are to that response of anything, right?
Anything.
Yes, because I've done pretty much anything. Until I got to a point where I realized, okay, this is what I want to do.
Including lawyering.
You can't call it that.
What can you call it?
I don't know, dabbling in law books, maybe. It was a very feeble effort.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned something about knowledge, speaking into identity. So what other things apart from knowledge, because I'm sure there's a collection, including things like values, what factors speak into your identity as a person?
Every factor. So
what do you mean every factor? I mean, there's a lot.
When we talk about identity, we're talking about the identity of an individual, of a human being, right? Yeah. When you look at the depth of that realization, it's everything that is about you, right? You don't just ascribe it to one specific pillar, if I may call it that, right? It's so many things. It's everything, right? It's, for example, I don't know how you speak. It's, for example, how you dress. It's, for example, I don't know, the kind of people you have around you, have around you. the kind of places you present yourself, the kind of environments that you present yourself, the kind of words that come out of your mouth, the kind of thoughts that go through your mind.
Sure,
it cuts across every expression of you, right?
Yeah.
So some you will come to define, and then you will say values, and values will be what, for me, I don't know, family is something that's so close to my identity such that it's a value, right? Such that I'm always prioritizing and, I don't know, expressing myself and pouring into that institution of family, right?
Yeah.
That's when family becomes a value.
Yeah.
So it's funny that when you look at how many people the list they would give you of their values, they would give, I don't know, I feel like integrity, passion. I don't know, we have the templates, for values, right? Every organization pretty much has a duplicated list of the other organization.
Values,
they'll just word it differently.
There's another word for it, ethos,
ethics or what?
Ethics and ethos and
so I don't know, that's just one dimension. And for me, that big word is just to say, this is where I this is where I put my priorities. When you say values, you're like, this is where my priorities are focused, right? So that when healthy living is a value to you, I don't know, there's a way you express yourself to pursue that.
Yeah.
If religion or faith is a value to you, there's a way you also embody yourself to pursue that, right?
Yeah.
So then it means everything. It means everything. I can't just give you that list of them in my identity.
Is it really everything, or do you get to choose? Because there's a lot.
It's your answer to every question that is posed by your being, right?
Yeah.
When you show up, there are so many questions you've already answered. Yeah, like for example, before you showed up here, you've already answered so many questions.
Yeah.
Sweater, shirt, those are questions you've answered. How you've decided to put yourself together, I don't know. And every expression of you leading up to this place, right?
Yeah.
And the same way for me, those questions I've already answered.
Yeah.
So you've already expressed yourself in line with your values, right? That's why you didn't cast someone on the road for no apparent reason. Or that's why you know.
So it's not everything. It's things that you choose, right? You have to choose. You have to make a selection of what is defining you, right?
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It is the answer to the questions that your existence poses. It's your choice.
It's your choice.
Yeah, so you're posed with a question. For example, when it comes to faith, you're posed with your question. Christian, Muslim, Hindu, whatever, or none of the above, right?
For all of the above.
Yeah, that's a question that you encounter when you step out, right? And in as many ways as possible, either by the conversations you have or by the choices that are available.
Especially by the choices.
Even by the choices that are available to you in that given day, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, right?
Okay.
Yeah. And I feel like we are so trapped into making it so definitive. That's why when you sit down to write that list, you'll write that list based off of how you aspire yourself to be.
Speaking of the list and the everything question, I feel like we live in a time when, and I think I mentioned this in the other episode I did on identity, we're living in a time when there's so much information coming in. There's a lot of information from social media, from internet, everywhere, from friends, from people. Everybody has an opinion on something and they have things to say. So due to, it's called information pollution, or due to all that information, I feel like a lot of people, especially young people, find themselves in a place where they do not know what is right, what is speaking to me, what is making sense to me, what is identifying with me. So how would you advise somebody to be able to pick what is right for them or what works for them, or how do you know what is right? with all the, it's a lot.
That's such a daunting question, because it takes a certain sense of like mental fortitude, some determination to direct yourself towards very specific, curated, information points, right? And there's an avalanche. Basically, information is hitting you from every side.
Yeah.
And it's for you to be in a position where, because you can't shield everything and only receive this version of information, right? You're hit by every form of information, and you decide which one to build upon.
Sort of need to filter and know which
you decide which one to build upon and which one to take lightly, right? So that then you don't concern yourself with every piece of agenda that's happening in the world, right? That's how you can function and exist. So I think the question you're asking is also like influence, because now information is coming, but where do you accord your influence? Which information will you allow to influence you, so that it influences your choices then, right? And again, like I said, it's such a big loop to look at when you say, how do we define that? For me, I'm in a space where, let's say, I appreciate, we're in the generation of information, and information is an asset, right? It's a question of which information translates to what value for you, depending on what you have defined as value, right?
In matter of identity, is it possible to change or reinvent myself?
Yeah.
Or oneself? When we talk about me.
It's not only possible, it's expected of you. Yeah, because you are growing, are you not? If not in anything else, in size. Right? In size and years. If not in anything else. You are absolutely growing.
Yeah.
And it's like a freak of nature. It's already in motion. So as a foundation, whether you like it or not, you're growing, right? So whatever you are defined as and whatever you identify as at a certain stage, will soon be phased out with the next stage, right? And it's like it's like we're on a cruise, and like we're just passing through. You can't decide to camp at a particular space as far as how life is taking you,
It is interesting. Then do you think that gets me to, just my mind wondering, then should identity be a thing that's foundational, or should it be a thing that's changing?
Both. Both.
There's a part of you that, I actually agree with you. There's a part of you that's foundational and the part that doesn't change, which is things like, for example, belief.
Yeah.
It can change from I don't know, it can evolve, if I may say that, and it can grow. But then the core of it, if it's something that's bound to move about and change, then do you think that's really strong enough to hold you? Like, do you think it's foundational?
Like you said, I think identity exists in both realities, where it is so foundational and so established in that it's not changing, right? There's that one way. And then there's the other way. There's the other way in which, as a consequence of circumstances and environments and meaning, this is like the suit that you can put on that allows you to shapeshift into anything, right? So that is always being molded and it's always being defined differently, right? But then there's the part that I guess informs it or sort of grounds it.
The core.
So
we call it that, the foundation that holds you together as a person.
And in today's world, that question, I guess, starts from something as basic as are you a man or are you a woman?
Nowadays,
And by the fact that I call it basic, I'm sure that is insulting to someone.
I know. You offended somebody.
But right? I mean, you've never been in that reality where you would stop and question, wait, am I a man or am I a woman?
And that is why I say there's so many voices speaking to our generation that people are wait, what am I exactly?
Yeah, but that's how you really have to, I don't know, experience it, but then also authenticate it based off of what you are made of. You know, your cultures, your beliefs, your whatever you're made of, you have to authenticate this thing through that litmus test, you know.
Yeah.
And then whatever comes out of it is your response to that question, right?
Okay.
But yeah, so like I'm saying, when we talk about fundamental, so for me, being a man is something fundamental. It's like at no point in my existence have I grappled to understand. Wait a minute. Like, you know, what am I? You know, to that extent, right?
Yeah.
I guess in today's world, I guess even fundamental is subjective.
I know. You see where the information
I see. But honestly, I feel like you have to have like a true north of sorts.
Exactly. You do.
There's like a true north of sorts.
You need to have a true north.
That is your own way of knowing which direction you will lean towards.
Brings you back at the end of the day to your own true essence and your own, identity.
And that's why when you present yourself to a community, there's that unique component that you bring in that whenever you are not there, it's not like someone else can come as that. You know,
you are you.
Yeah, there's just that.
You are uniquely you.
And of course, that is made up of every unique decision you have come to.
Exactly. To bring you to where you are.
To bring you to where you are.
Identity is such a conversation.
Honestly, I would say this. These conversations, I think they're most enjoyable and they are most healthy when pursued, really, not for the sake of how I'm going to answer people or, I don't know, just pursued as a passion, like as a personal passion that you as an individual you have. Like you have such a passion and such an interest in really understanding, who are you and how are you wired and what are you supposed to be producing and what can you produce,
Getting to know yourself.
Yeah, and let me tell you, when you get locked away in that space where you fall in love with that experience, then you have the now Picassos and Jay-Z's and I don't know, Lionel Messi's of the world. Yeah, because you come out of there with a clear picture of how you want to present yourself, and then you lean in on it. You put in effort to make sure it's the best it can possibly be.
Okay.
So,
and I think you're getting to see, even as you're talking, how identity is pouring into purpose.
Absolutely. I feel like you would say maybe identity is the door that opens you into that experience that would be called purpose.
Exactly.
That would be called purpose. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Beautiful, lovely conversation. I love it. I just love how that.
I wonder how confusing this is to your viewers. I'd be very interested to know.
How is it confusing? It's very, very interesting. I love that it's a thought-provoking conversation where it gets you thinking. Not necessarily telling you A, B, C, and D, but it gets you thinking about yourself, about what you know about yourself, what you want to do, what your identity is. And I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about our conversation today and what you'd like to know more, what other topics we can cover. Thanks for engaging us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Thank you for coming, Musau.
Oh, what is that just
It was a pleasure having you. Of course, we're going to have you so many more times. Conversations with you are always amazing. Yeah, looking forward.
As soon as you figure out. If that's what they want.
I'm sure they want. I'm sure they want.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So much fun.
I know. I mean, it's me. So, all right, guys. Goodbye. See you in the next episode.